Welcome to Phonogenics 101, a Riotboy production hosted by Jeremy Gloff. The podcast where people who love music discuss albums track by track. Please hit subscribe, and if you'd like to support this podcast, patreon.com/Jeremy Gloff or Venmo @Jeremy Gloff. And now, on to the music. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Phonogenics 101. I'm your host, Jeremy Gloff from Tampa, Florida, and I have here the Eurythmics panel, and we are about to finish off the discography tonight, so it's a little bittersweet. I've had a really good time talking about everything from In the Garden through the album we're going to discuss tonight. A little housekeeping, thanks to all my Patreon subscribers. It's so nice to get that little direct deposit to pay the bills, so much thanks. If you like this podcast, please hit the subscribe button. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers so I can be a YouTube partner, and every day I'm getting closer. When I started, I needed 150. Now I need like 62. So someone's watching us, y'all. Woohoo! That's because y'all are so wonderful. But I don't think there's anybody new here tonight, so no need for any introductions. However, let me introduce to you the album that we're going to be talking about, Peace. It came out in 1999. Eurythmics had done We Two Are One, and then a greatest hits, and then a live album. And Annie Lennox and Dave Stewart both pursued solo projects that were successful. And out of the blue, kind of, Eurythmics were back in the late 90s. I remember I wasn't expecting it. The first I heard about it is my mom. My mom loves Annie Lennox, and she's like, there's this new song, 17 again, and it just made me start crying. They're talking about jumping out of an airplane. And my mom just loved the song. She heard it on the radio. So that was my first taste. And that's what we're here to discuss tonight. So here we have people that were fans, mostly, I believe, from like Sweet Dreams on. But, you know, all of us, except maybe Nick, kind of experienced these albums in real time as they came out. So it was exciting for us all, I'm sure, when another, like, I thought We Two Are One would be the end. So this was really like a bonus. And it's interesting, here we sit in 2025, another album never came. And even on the Wikipedia page, it says their 9th or 8th, whatever number, in final album. So according to Wikipedia, they've set it in stone. This is the final album. I'd love if it wasn't, but you never know. So fans, Eurythmics, the diehards here, some of the biggest fans in the country. What were your thoughts as this album approached? You were telling some stories before we started recording. So who wants to share a little history about leading up to this project? Go ahead, John.
So I think 98, I recall I moved to Berkeley, and after only like 2 years of having a computer, I remember, I'm pretty sure it was in late 98, I started out of just a whim, just to see who was out there. I started this, it used to be called One List, which was like a discussion list, or, whatever they were called at the time, and eventually became a Yahoo group. And, it kind of like corralled a bunch of old fans and then eventually new fans. And so like when I started it, there was no expectation or knowledge that there was going to be another album coming out. And I guess in 99 is when the buzz kind of started. And it was around the time that they did that benefit concert. Mm-hmm. So there was really a lot of anticipation for it, especially with, the old fans and members of the fan club. So it was exciting for sure. And there was a lot of, preliminary stuff. Like I mentioned, there had been an early promotional cassette that one of the members was able to copy for me. So I may have had it a couple of months before the official, Arista promos and stuff. And as everyone knows now, the multiple versions of the album with different mixes and stuff is a little hard to keep up with. But I mean, we were all excited, especially when the tour was announced. Mm-hmm. And it kind of galvanized fans from all over the world to actually meet up, at different tour dates and TV appearances, and it was really, I mean, besides the album, it was also a really fun time to, you know, be able to meet people that I had never met in person, you know, fellow fans.
Yeah, we were older. We weren't teenagers and all that anymore. We had careers and probably you could say a little bit more money, and we could. John's so right. I think it was not that the album wasn't exciting because it was, but the tour was going on, and that you know, and none of it. You would have never dreamed it was going to happen. It seemed like it was dead and done.
It was certainly easier to accomplish seeing the show in different cities. Certainly with the internet, it was just a lot easier to like really solidify plans to do stuff. And I mean, I caravan down to LA with a San Francisco local member of the one list, who we became friends, and it was really, it was a fun time.
Yeah.
Was
John,
anyone
you're very modest because didn't you ran the Yahoo group with
I
Eric?
mean, I think I adminned it, and eventually Eric and Lori
And then you added me at some point. Yeah.
added you, and then it became a Yahoo group, and then didn't it get absorbed by something else, and eventually everything kind of transitioned over to Facebook.
Right.
Yeah.
Or MySpace, and then Facebook.
Oh, MySpace. Oh.
And before that, it was Friendster. There was Friendster just for a little bit.
I don't even remember that. I don't even know what that is.
To piggyback on what John said, there was a lot going on, and there was a lot of buzz, and we were so excited as a group, as a fan group. You're going to think, gosh, Lynn, you were pretty wacky in the day. I went to the Paris tour in October 15th of 99. And there I met Steve and Joanna and a lot of people that I had known from online. Then I went to the New York concert and the Los Angeles concert. And I went to the thing in October. I lived in New York then, I should say. And back in those days, British Airways was $200 to fly to Europe and the UK. And then I went to London for the last 3 days of the concert. But I also saw Live by Request in January and something in October that I can't think.
Were you at the? They were on one of the morning shows, and I went to that.
Oh, and we all went to Good Morning America. There were a whole group. So I organized the group that went to New York, and I organized buying the tickets at Madison Square Garden. And boy, I used my father's American Express card, and I had to pay him back. But there was a moment there that my father was like, holy moly, what have you charged at Madison Square Garden? I'm like, I'm going to pay you back. I'm going to pay you back. But there was a moment there, Dad was not happy. And I organized the party. We went out in the middle of the night down in the village I remember Eric very well. I don't know. It was a crazy, crazy time, but we did get up and went to Good Morning America in a very Arctic November. It was something like 35 degrees standing out there. Mm-hmm. It was wonderful. It was so much fun. And then we went, yeah.
I was with other friends in New York, but
did you go to that?
Oh yeah, yeah. We'll have to go back and look at the footage and see if we see. I think we've done that. I think.
Well, and I think I've seen you. Yeah, twice we've been at the same things and we didn't know each other.
We didn't know each other. Yeah.
I remember the LA group, and I don't really remember who organized this thing, but it was, I guess it was after the concert. They were going to appear on Jay Leno on the Tonight Show.
Oh yeah.
And we had to show up at the studios early to get tickets to then get in line later that afternoon to go into the taping. And so we all met like at some, cafe, and then like did the thing, went and got the tickets. And I think we had to get in line around maybe somewhere between like 1 to 3 p.m. And we waited for quite a while to get in. And that was my first experience ever being on like audience on a TV show and kind of seeing how they operate that stuff. But I do one of the things that's kind of amused me about that experience was that a bunch of us had been waiting in line for hours and hours and hours, and they kind of pick and choose people out of the line to like be sat up front. So they because it's like they make good TV. People they want people in the front rows that like the cameras are going to see, and for whatever reason. And they gave us a pretty like hardcore explanation of how things work. Like if you ever have to get up to go to the bathroom during the taping, like they're going to have someone come in and sit down in your seat, and you may or may not be able to get back into your seat. So, but I do remember Peter Fenton. He shows up like 5 minutes before the doors are opening, and he's at the back of the line, and somehow he got like ushered to sit in like the front.
Who is this?
Peter Fenton. Do you remember him?
Okay.
I remember that name. Yeah.
So who is that for us that don't know these people? Is he like a big fan?
He was one of the big collectors in the
fan
club, and then he ended up actually working as a buyer for Esprit International.
Okay. Oh.
So it was just funny that he kind of like shows up late and gets in like or something.
You're like, excuse me.
Peter's still around?
He is. I think he lives in Vegas. I haven't really talked to him in a while, but every few years we like, message each other for some reason, just out of the blue.
I'm sure we exchanged music. That was and we've talked about this before, but there were so many people. You were one of them for me, John, and all sorts of people around the country. I'm certain Peter was one. And we would share music in those early days, cassettes and video cassette. I mean, copies of copies of copies of copies on blurry video, but it was the best thing because you hadn't ever seen it, some show from England and you're seeing it. And, but it was because of all of these people connected through the fan club, probably. And it was a really wonderful thing. I have such good memories and how people were so eager to share things. I mean, sometimes, rare things that, they didn't mind. Like, I want other people to hear this. I mean, it was great. It was fantastic.
I feel that was
I would say to just, sorry, Jeremy,
go ahead,
to echo on that. I mean, all of us, I'd say, like you, John and Mark and several of other people, we've been in each other's lives now since the 80s, and gone through a lot. Yeah. Family passing away, parents passing away right after this. Now this is going to be awful because I said my mother passed away in January of beginning of the year, right after the Peace tour all ended, and my father like 10 weeks later. So it was a really rough period. So when I say I don't remember, I do have a really good reason because I just sort of short circuited on a lot of stuff. But I remember how supportive so many people were. I got, cards and music and stuff sent to me and great thoughts.
Your parents were together the whole time, were they?
What?
Were your parents together the whole time?
My parents were married 55 years.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, 55 years. Yeah.
So great.
Died 10 years to the day, 10 days, 10 weeks apart.
Wow.
I feel like I'll go ahead.
Yeah. Go on. Sorry.
I was gonna say I felt like like 98 through 2002 was such a golden age for us music lovers because that was when VH1 started doing behind the music. That's when a lot of like the 80s bands were coming back to varying success. Something that was unique about Eurythmics' comeback album is I didn't feel like it was steeped in nostalgia at all. Of course, there's some songs that have a throwback, but I feel like this album's kind of its own sound and its own thing, and they were still evolving. Because a lot of the 80s bands that came back in 2000 were, trying to recapture the glory and do something that sounded familiar. And I still feel like Dave and Annie were evolving with this album. Would you guys agree?
Yes, I think that's a brilliant way to put that, actually.
Yeah. A lot of it is really fresh.
I mean, I think it kind of also brought about that, thing of like, well, we never really broke up. It's just sort of it's a project that we work on with each other when we feel like doing it. And I mean, in the back of my mind, they still haven't technically broken up.
Right.
Right, exactly.
When I lived in New York, I always say I did the 80s in LA. I was in New York for 90s and into 2000s. And I would hear or read that they would have dinner together every so often. So I knew they were still talking. You would hear how they weren't talking. And well, they were having dinner. Maybe they weren't talking, but they were sharing meals.
Certainly, this album to me, whether or not I like all of the songs, it definitely feels like they were very comfortable with each other at that point.
Yeah. Peace.
And they had their children. They're at the concerts, particularly the London ones, you could see behind the speakers, you could see two little girls and two little boys, which would be Lola and Tolly, Annie's daughters, and Sam and Chango, Sam's kids.
Oh,
yeah.
With
Back behind. He since had two more daughters, but
so I'm a big fan of Annie Lennox's solo albums, which we'll be discussing next. And I was never a huge fan of the Spiritual Cowboys, so no offense to anybody that is a fan. But I feel like there's definitely elements of Annie's solo progression on this album. Is there any hints of Spiritual Cowboys in here for those that are fans? Or is nobody a fan here like me?
I love Dave's solo work. I wasn't. You're going into my dark period.
Okay.
I like his solo work. I like Readings from the Gutter and Sly Fi.
He was very guitar driven, of course, and Spiritual Cowboys had its own sound, two drummers and the whole thing, and then he went beyond that. I think what, like you said, I think there's always an element from each other in things.
Sure.
And the weird thing though, and you're probably right, you do get sort of Annie's sort of vibe from that point maybe, but this album is like everything else they've ever done. It's what you just said a few minutes ago, Jeremy. It just stands on its own.
Yeah.
And it has this unique sound that doesn't sound like anything else, that doesn't sound like anyone else, except maybe there's a lot of Beatles influence, I would say.
Yes.
But,
like the Traveling Wilburys, that kind of very rock.
Yeah.
Bits and pieces of it.
Now, pop culture speaking, we're kind of coming on the tail end of Lilith Fair here. And kind of like, this is where the boy bands and Britney Spears and everything was coming out in 99. But I feel like the kind of music that Peace was still kind of on the radio a little bit. So this album, I feel like, was more successful than some of the other 80s comebacks. I feel like it stood on its own. Would you guys agree? I mean, there were hits off the album, right? And I remember some of the songs were on Sopranos, which gave it a lot of exposure, right? Am I imagining things?
No, that's right. Well, I mean, they were huge on the dance charts here. I mean, number one on the dance charts, just like some of her solo stuff in the 2000s. But 17 again was number one on the dance charts. I mean, it was,
they had. Oh, sorry, Mark.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say that there were some mainstream additions that were in the adult contemporary. They had Richard Avedon as their photographer for the all the album pictures and stuff, like the ones behind Mark. That's Richard Avedon, and then Burt Bacharach was involved as well. So that's some big name kind of mainstream stuff. I mean, more adult contemporary. Nick right now is going, Bert, who? No.
Does anyone remember what the inspiration of this Annie holding Dave's head? I always think of it as like John the Baptist.
I love the photo.
Oh, yeah, it's a great photo. No, what is the inspiration?
I'm I know that there's something where they mention it or talk about what the inspiration was. Like it was sort of a play or take off of, another portrait that I don't think it was Avedon, but it may have been something else in the art world that they, borrowed that pose from. I'm gonna have to dig through dig through archives to figure that one out.
Got
Did
a
you?
got a subway poster of it. I didn't get it behind me, but can you see it there?
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait, it is rather disturbing.
But also good.
There is a
Do you remember how impactful it was seeing that photography, the Avedon stuff, and that with it? I mean, it was just like, oh my God, look at them, they're so wonderful,
Well,
But
and
so brilliant.
I think the image is such a big part of Eurythmics, and every
Yeah.
album kind of had its own look. So I feel like even their look for this album was unique. Annie kind of had her look for her solo career, but then when they came back with this, it was very kind of military inspired, wasn't it? They were wearing like a lot of
Oh yes,
camouflage.
it was a benefit. All the monies, the proceeds to this
I
went
love
to
this one.
Greenpeace and Amnesty International.
Yeah.
So they donated all the money.
I'm sure you guys have this, but I have the book, the promo book.
like John was saying. I mean, there was so much stuff. It was such a great book.
Oh, that's
Oh
awesome.
gosh, look at that
Yeah.
photo.
Yeah.
There's the big version.
Because the
Yeah.
album art doesn't
Yeah.
Well,
really
that's the one I love, the one John's showing.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Look at that nice smile
Love
there.
that too, yeah.
Yeah, you wonder what is he saying right there?
It's
But
interesting. Album art itself doesn't feature any of that militaristic.
No. Mm-mm.
It was the videos and the tour that kind of, where they got the camo green and everything.
Now, one thing I did like is, of course, the typesettings there, the star. Was it the same person designing the cover that did the other ones?
Yeah. Lawrence Stevens.
Lauren Stevens.
Lauren
Okay.
Stevens.
So, it's kind of, I guess, for now, the final chapter in the book. We have the back of Annie's head and then the back of Dave's head.
Yeah.
The album's called Peace. What do you guys think of both the album cover and the album title before we go into the track by track discussion?
Well, there's a funny story about the album cover because I think Dave or Annie, I think it's Dave, said in an interview once, because they got Richard to do all this photography, and then they said they presented this to the record company, and it's the back of Annie's head, and the record company's like, you have all this great photography, it's still about Richard, and you're doing the back of her head. So even in 1999, the record company was still trying to figure out, what? You do want to do what?
Yeah.
But, they were so famous, usually Dave with the back of Dave's head, and it was just, no one else would do that. Anyway.
Well, and then Dave is the blonde one, and Annie is the darker haired one.
Yeah, right. That's true.
Were there any other eras of Annie's career where she was dark haired? I mean, I think Diva she was dark haired.
Diva.
It was longer, but I feel like she kind of had a unique look for this album with like the shady glasses, the sunglasses, the aviators.
Early on during, sort of in between In the Garden and Sweet Dreams, more for photography and live shows, she sometimes had the black China chop wig. Or a curly black wig, but not for any of the album.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, well, let's jump in. Mike's not here to show his collectibles, but I'll show a couple. I have this promo, music from the forthcoming album Peace. There's two different ones. I think there's a rough edit of Power to the Meek, so that's why I bought this one, was for the different mix. Then, of course, there's all the different, 17, again, CD singles. How many do I have? 7 of them.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow. Look at that. I have that. So many.
And then the other ones, I'll go to them. So 17 again. That was the first song I knew about from the album. Like I said, my mom heard it and fell in love with it. This is their comeback. It was interesting listening to it recently. I had, I'm going to say my negative things first, because I absolutely love this song. But I kind of wish that there wasn't the Sweet Dreams at the end, personally, because I feel like the song does that. It could do it without doing it. And I also feel like the drums were mixed kind of low. And I think it's weird she starts saying yay instead of yeah. Those are my gripes. But what a comeback song. Isn't the lyric about jumping out of the plane because a journalist told them that they should jump out of a plane or something?
I've always thought so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But
that's
even
what it was. Yeah. What was her name? Ruth something?
Somebody. Yeah. And
Yeah.
it
Who
would be
said
better.
they might as well jump out of a plane.
so let's start with Nick for fun. Nick, this is probably a newer. I don't know if you knew this song before you listened to this album. What were your thoughts on 17 again?
So there was only one song on the album that I was familiar with, and it was actually the song that was released as the first single everywhere else except the United States. In preparation, I looked a little bit at Dave Stewart's memoir, and I looked at articles that I could find, and saw one from Billboard where they were talking about the release strategy, the marketing. And I think this song, 17 Again, was the first song released in the United States, and then elsewhere you had Save the World. I found this to be one of the better songs on the album. The interpolation of Sweet Dreams, I kind of find it to be cheesy, I suppose, but it works. I'm not offended by its inclusion by any stretch of the imagination. The drums are indeed mixed very low, but I don't find that irksome at all. I think that the mixing is very warm, and it's a wonderful song to open the album with.
Yeah, definitely a different feel from them. All right, who else wants to share? Like, what did you think the first time you heard 17 Again? Go ahead, John.
I think, I mean, I don't know that I was completely won over with it. But I do remember actually hearing it on the radio in San Francisco on Alice Radio, which was kind of like the bridge between like rock, pop, and adult contemporary station. So I was actually kind of surprised to even hear it on the radio.
Yeah.
I mean, looking back on it now, I appreciate it more than I think I did then. I was a little, underwhelmed, I think, from the first. And now listening to the album, I kind of like now. I think I understand like why they put it first on the album and as their first single, because it's very self-referential, and it also, to me, it's almost like, okay, we're gonna get the personal stuff out of the way, like the personal, people, whatever buzz about whether they've broken up or not, or whether they, were fighting with each other. They kind of just got that part of it out of the way, and then went on with the album, continued on with like the album they wanted to make, or whatever came about from that collaboration. But I like it. I'm not a big fan of the dance mixes of any of the songs, because I think like the Peter Rauhofer and the Thunderpuss stuff was just, to me, it's a little bit generic. They did so many remixes for so many.
I know, they just turned them out like a factory.
Clubs, yeah, and it just almost felt like very like almost obligatory because they needed to like market the album to like dance clubs, and especially like the gay dance clubs. It's not an album that I feel like necessarily needed to have any dance stuff related, but I understand that they did it for the marketing purposes.
But then again, it worked. It got to number one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not debating that.
Yeah.
To me, the beats are very generic.
Yeah. There was even a single remix that was released, which is quite different kind of. Have y'all heard that, the single mix?
A long time ago.
Yeah, it just starts out kind of.
What's the do you have the stats on it's, besides the dance chart? Did it do anything in Europe or the UK or anywhere else?
Let me look. 57 in Canada, 36 on adult contemporary in Canada, Germany 73, Ireland 43, Scotland 25, UK 27, US Dance Club #1. Year-end charts, it was the 43rd biggest dance hit for the year. But, so it wasn't a huge hit. And I Saved the World did better.
Right.
But I remember listening to it and thinking, I was so naive. I just thought, oh, this is so good. And they have this little nod to Sweet Dream. I'm like, that's going to be a huge hit.
Yeah.
So it probably wasn't.
So, John, John, I wanted to say I really like what you said about it. They kind of got the stuff about their past done in the beginning of the song. And I love the first verse where it's, that it shows their bitterness they had still soared toward the system and the musical system, the venture through the valley of the stars. And I love the you with all your jewelry and my bleeding heart. God, what a great line.
And really, let's face it, there can't be another pop song ever that starts out with the word yay.
I know, it's so weird.
You gotta give it to Annie and her
Yay.
roots. Yay.
How Shakespearean.
Yeah. But I mean, Annie's had some somewhat autobiographical songs. Legend in My Living Room, you could say, but this is a pretty much, I would think, an autobiographical song about Eurythmics. I think that was the point of the song. So
well, and the who couldn't be together and who couldn't be apart.
Exactly.
And that's them in a nutshell still, kind of. Yeah.
And I agree with what everybody's saying. I with Nick, with the warmth of the sound, I love that. About it being kind of autobiographical, I picked up on that the first time I heard the song. I really like the nod to Sweet Dreams in this because I feel like that was a way for them to bridge their new stuff to what maybe these kids heard their parents playing, 15 years earlier or however long ago it was Sweet Dreams had come out. So I really, really, and they do it again in another song we'll talk about later, but it's not the words, but it's like one of the instrument sounds.
Okay.
But I thought that was a very clever move of that song. And I hate that it didn't do as well. I do not like the remixes of it. This was about the time period where, remixes, they took a song and like turned it into something totally it was not. I remember the days when, like in the 80s and the early 90s, you bought a 12-inch single and it was basically the same song with different breaks in it and, maybe a few added instruments and this and that. But at this point, you were taking 17 again and the original instrumentation is just gone. All it is Annie's voice. And to me, that kind of ruins the song. So I did not like.
I feel those remix tracks were so by the book, like Blueprint. I feel like they just slapped it on every damn song back then.
It was 2 minutes of a beat going before you got anywhere. But I mean, I can put them on, and there are certain times that I can listen to the remixes, and there's a time and a place for them. But I think you're all exactly hitting it on the note. But it was when what everyone was doing at the time. It was what the records companies were doing. Okay, we got to get these into the clubs, and so we'll give them to these famous remix artists, and so it was So
it was 99. They were competing with Madonna's American Pie remixes. That's what I remember from the club. And Whitney's It's Not Right, but It's Okay.
Well, before we go on to the next song, I just wanted to point out with Mark with the picture, Dave is wearing Annie on his glasses, and Dave is wearing Annie, and Annie's wearing Dave on their glasses. That was so funny.
Aww.
I mean, I do like that they definitely had a tongue-in-cheek humor about the whole thing of it. What's interesting too is like that was around the same time that a lot of, especially in Europe, they would release singles like as a part 1 and a part 2.
Oh yeah, yep.
Single, and it's the same single version, or and then on one of them it's got a gospel medley that they were doing. That's weird though. Did 17 Again come out later than the tour? Did they do the tour before because how I'm just looking at it, there's gospel medley recorded live on the Peace tour.
17 Again was released in Europe on January 24th, 2000. So yes.
Oh, so wow.
It came out in the US first, but then came out later in Europe.
And I love that gospel medley. I love that gospel medley of what Would I Lie to You, Ball and Chain, and Sisters. Oh my God, that's so good. I love it.
Which video was it that was a little slightly controversial with because of the images of war and bombs and stuff?
But was it I
Again,
Saved the World Today when they were signing the peace treaty and they had all the leaders behind them?
yeah,
They had similar videos for 17 again. It felt like they were like in the studio with the band.
mhm.
Am I wrong for 17 again? I don't even
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and yeah, it was a supposedly controversy. That's what you always hear, but I mean, the videos were out, and I saw them, and yeah, and so I think there are some versions where you don't hear the bullets. You know, there are bullets flying and bombs.
That's what it was.
And I always kind of hear that, and I'm like, was there really a controversy, or did someone just say it? Because it seemed like, it just always seems so weird to me that would be controversial. I mean, think of the movies that were out. Really?
Saving Private Ryan was out right then.
Yeah, I mean, it's who were they trying to save? I mean, but I thought the videos that they connected to each other in a way, and the visuals, and so again, they had a concept for this album and what they wanted to present. Because I think there would have been actually other songs on the album that could have been better singles in a way. But anyway, we're talking about 17 again. So sorry.
Yeah, David, do you want to add anything in before we move on to the next song?
I do actually, I do, because okay, so there's a couple of things that I want to touch on here. I'm with Jim in, like, is it Jim or Jimmy? Oh, Jimmy.
Whatever you want to say.
Okay, well, whatever, Jimmy. Okay, so when you said that you like the Sweet Dreams, me too, especially when you think about, like, if this is, and I hope it's not, the last Eurythmics album, it's kind of a bookshelf thing, and maybe that's why they did it, so I'm totally with you, Jim. And the other way I'm with you, Jim, is that, okay, so for me, I remember this song and I remember the other single, right? But I didn't experience the song till I was coming up. And this is why I love this particular podcast, because from Sweet Dreams on, I bought every Eurythmics album, right? So, but you guys are like actually like hardcore in a lot of ways. And then Nick, you're really awesome because you're giving a fresh take on it all. So anyways, I'm getting really chatty. I'm sorry, you guys. But what I was trying to say, and I'm losing my train of thought, is 17 again. For me, although I wasn't 17 when this came out, your podcast, Jeremy, and you mentioned something like this in another podcast, Jim, it like takes me back to those really great times. And I think that's what your viewers see too. Because although I wasn't 17 during this album, I was 17 when Be Yourself Tonight came out.
Sure.
And that was that, and I was already into Sweet Dreams and all that, and Touch and all that, and I was blown away by the Eurythmics. You know what, and I know this isn't related to the album, but I can remember being in my room. I was super young, and my sister came bursting in my door because she had just heard Sweet Dreams. And she was like, "Oh, this is the most awesome song. I've never heard anything like this. Who is this? You need to hear this song right now." And she was, she's a little older than me, so she was always kind of like an inspiration. She would find music first, although I already knew about it. I knew Annie before she did. No, I just want to say that. But anyway. I kind of went on and on, but yeah, no, this album, I've been listening to it all day in anticipation of this podcast, and it's beautiful. I know we're going to rate it at the end, but this album is beautiful.
Yeah.
The songs are beautiful. Her vocals are beautiful. Okay, so let's
Well,
move.
I think that's the important
Do
of
you
this
want to?
podcast is we can analyze music to death. But I think this podcast captures how it made us feel when it came out in real time, or in Nick's case, how it makes him feel and where he's at in his life right now. Because we're not only talking about the music and the history of the music, but where it fit into our lives. And I think that complete picture is so important. And that's what we're preserving a little bit. Jim.
And I just wanted to add one more thing to 17 again. For me, the historical value of that song really set in when Will and Grace used it in one of the episodes of
Oh,
the series. It was when Grace had just broken up with the Woody Harrelson character, and she'd been in bed for days and days and days, and watching old slideshows and this and that. And then one morning, they're all asleep in her bed, and she wakes up. It's kind of like this whole brand new day thing, and here comes 17 again, chiming in at that moment.
Oh, yes, I
Like
remember.
Oh
that,
my
that couldn't have
God.
been a more perfect moment for that song and for that show.
Was
And
that Will and
so,
Grace?
yes,
Will and
yes,
Grace. Yes, it was lovely.
yeah, yeah.
So to touch on that, because that's kind of what I was going to say, to piggyback on what David said, and now you, Jim, that 17 again to me was more of a metaphor than specifically Eurythmics. Because when we're 17, we're just on the cusp. We're just kind of figuring it out. And to me, that's when all of us kind of are becoming aware.
yeah.
Wouldn't it be nice to be 17? I mean, when I think of my ages as I go back, 17 is one of them.
Yeah.
You know, and I think Annie moved to London when she was 17. So that's why it was
From
17
where?
again.
From where?
Yeah, that's how old she was when she moved to London.
From Scotland?
Scotland, yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Um,
To go to school. Yeah.
So, Lynn, I have to ask, did you do your drive through the Hollywood Hills when this album came out?
Yes.
I thought of this, Jeremy, and I thought, am I going to be asked? I have even a better story for
Oh,
where I bought this album.
please share.
Okay, I had gone to the Paris concert at Bercy and bought it was on a Sunday or Saturday, and I went on a buddy pass of a friend, and I got stuck in Paris for 5 days, which is a whole other story. But on Tuesday, I took the metro down to the Bastille, and I bought it at Fnac at the Bastille.
Wow.
I know,
What a way to cap your Eurythmics collection.
I know. And I did have a CD player by that time.
And how terrible that you got trapped in
I
Paris.
know. I was thinking the same thing.
But I got trapped in Paris, but I was at this really bad hotel outside of de Gaulle. And I would go to de Gaulle every morning. I'd like, mon passport? And they would bump me off, and I'd go back, and I was running out of money, and I would eat a lot of couscous at the hotel. And I'd go back. I was there for 4 days. I got out on Friday.
What
where
great
I
stories.
did a very dramatic performance.
Oh, well,
Get out. I'm
for
sure
this-
you're going, what, Lynn? Dramatic?
oh. For this album, I'm not going to do the thumbs up or down. I think this is a special album that I don't think I can. It's the whole album's to me kind of a vibe. So let's move
It's
on to
a
the
hard-
second
yeah.
song. We're already almost an hour in and only on song 2. So
We are.
Oh, gosh.
I saved the world today. So let's start with Nick again. I'd like hearing the fresh perspective before we tell our stories. What do you think of this one?
It was the one song that I knew going into it. It's super mellow. I love what I'm assuming are synthetic horns. Could be real orchestration. Either way, works really well. It kind of works off that very warm feel. And I think it was a good selection of a single they chose wisely.
All right, what did the rest of you think of this song the first time you heard it? I think it's beautiful. It's vintage but modern at the same time for that time.
It's gorgeous lyrics. I mean,
Beautiful.
Annie's lyrics on this album are exceptional. I
Mhm.
mean, I just love the lyrics. Monday finds you like a bomb that's been left ticking there too long. You're bleeding. Some days there's nothing left to learn. From the point of no return, you're leaving. And
It grabs you. It grabs you, you know?
yeah, it was a great choice for a single. And it did well. It got to 11 in England, the highest charting single since 1986 for them in England.
Wow.
So, it was a hit.
This,
Yeah.
this was the one with that had a video with the orchestra, and that they were signing a peace treaty,
at the end, and they spilled the ink on it.
and one of them spilled the ink, and the other one was like, "Oh God, you spilled the ink."
And it was years before I saw that video because it wasn't shown here.
Right.
So I don't know. It was years before I saw it. It was such a great video too. Again, yeah.
The cool thing
Yeah.
about this album is how understated it is. You know what I mean? Like when they came out with the Sweet Dreams album in Touch, they were so in your face and big. And this album is just so subtle and so layered. Very mature without being old.
Mhm.
Done.
It says I'm trying to figure out if there was actually live horns or not
Yeah, I don't know.
on this album.
Just like, or it does sound like that there are live strings on here for sure. So perhaps they did bring in an orchestra. It's just conjecture, though, on my
I think
part.
the video shows an orchestra.
That doesn't necessarily mean that it appeared on the
I
record,
know.
though.
I agree.
There actually is no credit for brass,
Interesting.
Okay.
so it could be definitely keyboards. But
Yes. The strings were by Chris Shayrock, orchestrated by David Whitaker. So yeah.
and Chucho plays bass.
Yeah. And I did not know that till I just read that just now. Choo Choo Mochan was on here.
Who was it? Oh,
Yeah, Choo Choo Mochan, who was on the Revenge tour.
so it lyrically, I think there was some interesting things because we say, hey, hey, I saved the world today. Everyone's happy now. The bad thing's gone away. And you think back to this time period, we were on the cusp of Y2K, so we didn't know what the hell was going to happen. It was, the new millennium was just right there.
And who rang in the Millennium in a concert?
Annie and Dave.
Dave and Annie Eurythmics.
And what did they sing?
Life on
David
Mars.
Bowie.
Life on Mars.
What?
Life on
Life
Mars.
on Mars, which is one of my favorite Bowie songs.
And Here Comes the Rain Again and Sweet Dreams. I mean,
Yeah.
what a concert going into the millennium that had to be. Oh my.
Yeah. Life on. I remember watching that night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The live performance they did was on a barge, and it
Okay.
was July 5th of '99. So that was
Promote the album for, and that's when they talked about Greenpeace,
Yep.
Amnesty International. So all the proceeds from that tour that they made went to both those groups. So that says a lot about them too. Because Jeremy, you were talking about a lot of groups were getting back together. They got back together, went on this a world tour, not as extensive as the Revenge tour, of course, or even Revival, but they gave all their money.
Wow.
They gave all their money away. That they,
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
we're going to come back and make a lot of money and all that. They gave it away, and it makes me happy that they're those kinds of people too.
They truly walk the walk instead of just talking the talk. And not to go into Madonna land, but that was my biggest gripe with her Madam X era, is it was so like talking about revolution. But then she was so like classist at the shows, like, are you too poor for expensive sheets? I'm like, you just negated everything your album's about. So I feel like with Peace, to the contrary, like every message in the songs, they acted out in the way they ran the tour and the way they conducted themselves in public. So a huge testament to them.
I know I'm talking a lot this one. Can I share two really wonderful Dave stories from the London tour?
Sure.
One is where Joe Frank, who's a longtime member of the group, and I were waiting at the front of Wembley to see Dave. And I said, "Oh, hi, Dave. I went to the New York tour and the Paris tour and the LA tour." And he was like, "Wow." And he turned to Joanna. And I said, "Oh, I came from New York." And he turned to Joanna and she said, "I'm from Chalk Farm," which is like 10 minutes away. And he was like, to her, which was really funny. It was a great moment. And then later that, on the Sunday of that tour, is a very frigid night. And there were two limousines out in front. We were waiting backstage. There were Vibber. People remember Vibber?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Laurent Rousseau. Anyway, we were waiting there. and Dave came out. He might have been celebrating a little. He had a plastic plant. I'll find the pictures of this. A plastic plant on his head. And he came out with the plastic plant and he signed autographs. And then at some point he lifted the plastic plants and he said, "Did my girl get away?" And Annie's limo had left while he had distracted all of us.
I have to see that photograph.
I will. I have it. It's great. It was so
Lynn,
funny.
hello. I want to live your life, Lynn.
Yeah. I have it. I will get it.
All right.
All right.
Okay, so Jeremy, wait, before we go on, this is Clem.
Oh, cute. Clem, who shout out to
named
Clem.
after Clem Burke. Oh my God, you guys, I was like at this bar and I kind of manifested it because I have friends that have cats, and I was like for 2 months saying, I want a cat. And I was at a bar and some dude came in with this cat saying, "Oh my God, I just saved it from a dog."
Aww.
How old is it? How old's the kitten?
He's 8 weeks. We took him to the vet like 2 weeks ago, and the vet said he was like 6 weeks, but he's perfectly healthy. But she also said that he's probably the runt because he's really, really tiny, which kind of worries me because I've heard like the tiny ones that don't grow, they don't live that long. I'm sorry, I got sidetracked, you guys, but I love him.
But he's named after Clem
He's
Burke.
named after Clem Burke.
That is lovely.
That's good.
All right, so I saved the world today. Any other thoughts on the song before we carry on?
It's
I
just
did listen again, and I determined based on the solo that there's too much actual real intonation for it to be synthetic. I'm leaning more towards the side of that it's actual orchestration.
Okay, cool. All right, track 3, Power to the Meek. Now, this song, before we go into the song, there was a remaster of the album that came out in the box set. How many different versions of this album are there with different mixes? Does anyone kind of have the rundown? There's the original 99 version. There's the version in boxed. What else is there?
There's the remaster, the 2018 remaster.
Okay, and that's another mix altogether?
I'd have to do a scientific like side by side listen.
Sure.
But it seems, I mean, for definitely, I know for a fact that I've tried everything is different on at least 2 of the versions.
and pieces.
One is really stripped down, and one is like very full sounding.
Okay.
Pieces just a word is different on the different albums, but the 2005 box remastered, they changed. I've tried everything. It's totally different.
Yeah.
Most people don't like it. That they prefer the original. I was with it because I love as y'all were saying earlier, I love the early remixes. So I'm fine with a various different kind of mix on a song.
Yeah.
But the original was perfection. I will say that.
Yeah.
But we're not there yet. Jeremy, were you thinking Power to the Meek?
Yeah, Power to the Meek. So for this one, they pull out the electric guitars. Kind of reminds you of some of that like kind of radio rock that was coming out in '99. It rocks, but not too hard. Nick, let's start you with this one. What do you think of Power to the Meek?
Probably more mechanical than the first 2 offerings. I looked at the liner notes, and sure enough, there are live drums, but it doesn't really seem like it. They're too mechanical and too clean. I'm not sure if that they did this on Pro Tools. They probably did this on some sort of just regular reel-to-reel tape or maybe digital, but it sounds as if it's kind of aligned to a grid. Electric guitars are a little bit digital sounding and tacky, but there's still a level of heart to it, I suppose. It's probably my least favorite of the 3 thus far.
And it was a single in the U.S. Is that what you've got there, John?
It's just a radio promo.
Okay.
Radio promo. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a radio mix, and then on all these promo singles, there's something that's called a research hook, a call out, which I think meant for like radio promotion.
Yeah.
Right.
Whoever used that, those were the strangest things to be on those CDs back then.
Yeah.
But I think it sounds like a song that could have been Savage in a way. The lyrics are very Savage oriented to me. I'm just a girl with my head screwed on. I'm just a girl with a smoking gun. I got my finger stung. I'm just a girl with my finger stung. I don't know. I think there's, or maybe a lot of, I think you were saying earlier, or a solo career kind of song oriented. There's who remembers they did a lot of live shows and they ended, was it Storytellers where they ended it with Power to the Meek. Am I correct on that? And it was really, really good.
They did a Storytellers?
Yeah, I don't remember that.
Oh my God, I have to frickin' find that.
I think you can see that it's been added to one of the streaming services now.
Okay.
I could be wrong about that.
Wasn't Storytellers the call-in show where they actually took questions?
Yeah. Aretha Franklin called in and David Bowie called in.
What?
Yeah.
What?
I think I may have uploaded pieces of it. I'm not sure. I'll have to go back. But there's a great extended, they ended and then they keep playing it through the credits. But it's really good. And they performed it sometimes on the tour, but not always.
Okay.
Lynn has disappeared. Okay.
They did give props. I remember on that call, they gave props to it must have been one list still at the time. So that I remember someone who called in mentioned it or they did.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, but it was a great live version. I think it had a little more umph than maybe the album version, but I think it's a fun song. And I love
I'll need to move out to LA so we can hang out.
That's not happening. I'm a Florida girl.
I would.
I get that.
Have some sort of Eurythmics conference kind of thing sometime. I think.
Yeah, we can all visit though. That's all.
Let's. Yeah.
All right. Do we have any other thoughts on Power to the Meek?
It's an okay.
I think it rocks.
It rocks.
Yeah, I like it.
All right. Well, moving on. Beautiful Child, one of my favorite Fleetwood Mac songs, but this is a different band here.
I knew you were going to reference that.
Yep.
I figured.
I mean, that is one of Stevie Nicks' masterpieces.
Love that one.
We are on the.
Oh, you like it better than Annie's?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. I mean, but beautiful. This Eurythmics' Beautiful Child's nice. This is a nice song.
It is.
Nick, let's start with Nick. What do you think of Beautiful Child by Eurythmics from the Peace album?
I mean, I could probably talk a lot about the Fleetwood Mac version, but I'll try to stay on topic here. So what took me what I noticed first when I listened to it was how prominent Annie's vocals were in the mix. And usually I prefer vocals to be more in the background, but seeing that it's Annie Lennox, she can get away with that. It works well. I do enjoy the oscillating keyboard part going do 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 do, just alternating back and forth. That's a nice counterpart to her voice, and it works well. It's not my favorite, but it's fine.
This is another song, like, I just feel like it's kind of a vibe. There's not one bad song on this album. There's a couple masterpieces, and then some of them are just kind of vibey, where you just kind of lose yourself in the song. Further thoughts on Beautiful Child? Does anyone else want to jump in? Mark?
The acoustic versions are really, I like a lot. Because you get her, really get Dave's guitar and Annie's vocals just right up front.
Yeah. The acoustic versions are great. Yeah.
Yeah, they released them on some of the singles there's a live from the church version, which I like. And
a lovely one.
Yeah.
All right.
Is there a context for is there a context for who she's talking about? Is it a general, kind of lullaby, or is it?
There's a story about that. Yes, I know the story. It's based on Dave's son, Sam, and they were recording or at his house or something, and Sam was in another room and he was crying.
Oh.
And she wrote the lyrics. The lyrics stemmed from that. Something that I said made you frown. It made you wear a frown. I don't think she had said something to him, but I mean, it was the inspiration for the song was Sam, his young son, and he was crying in another room and kind of apparently kind of peeking out at them or something.
Aww.
Right.
Nice.
There's another piece of history to this. This song is one of their reunion songs. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? During COVID, there was
Yes.
a concert, and Dave and Annie got together and performed it. And I'm forgetting the actor's name who created the concert, but he starred on Madam Secretary. But he asked them to sing this song. It was a favorite song of his.
Wow.
It was Dave, wherever Dave was in the
Oh gosh, yes.
and then
The
Annie
Bahamas.
LA, and so she was at her keyboard, he was on his guitar, and they performed it. So I guess it was during COVID, so they couldn't be together, so it's one of those Eurythmics reunion moments.
Right.
And the mix wasn't, they were in two different places, so and that they were able to do it and hear each other and be able to do it's kind of amazing. But it was a song out of the blue. You weren't expecting, you had no idea, but it was one of those things like they're singing "Beautiful Child from Peace," "Sweet Dreams," or "Here Comes the Rain Again," something that you might expect. So that was cool. Yeah.
Can you imagine us guys meeting for coffee? We would and have to be somewhere later. We would not make it.
No, we wouldn't.
All right. Any other thoughts on Beautiful Child? Lynn?
So I was able to Google very quickly, and that was what Mark was talking about, Beautiful Child, and that was the funds to that. It was a benefit went to the UNICEF.
Yeah. Okay.
And the person who organized it is, I'm scrolling. I will find it at some point. It was the UNICEF. It was May of 2020. We remember that. It was only 5 years ago this month.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
And when you think about it, what they were doing with it, not even really making money for it. They came together to help the world.
Yep.
I mean, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've always been that way. It's lovely.
They're just good people.
Yeah.
Yeah, they talk the talk and walk the walk.
Yes.
And pay from their pockets. That's really great.
You can't say that about a ton of people. You know what I mean?
Oh.
All right.
They do. Yeah.
Well, Anything But Strong is the next song. What do you guys think of this one? Nick, are you tired of me calling on you first? Or do you like starting it off for this one?
Let's go to someone else instead.
Yeah, I don't remember a lot about this one.
I'll be short. I'll be short.
Go ahead, David.
Okay, so all I put down was that because I listened to the album all day today, it made me sad, but it's beautiful.
Yeah. It's a song that's taking me a long time to like. But like I'm sure a lot of you, I was listening to the album today, and it's such a great song. But it wasn't one that I went to in the beginning. It wasn't one that, and I'll talk about other songs like that too. But I really love it. But it wasn't one that I gravitated toward in the beginning. But again, just fantastic lyrics and fantastic delivery from Annie.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's actually about their brilliance and the body of their work and how that a lot of the stuff throughout their career we relate to at different points in our lives. And I mean, they're amazing.
I just thought of something. I feel like this whole podcast is gonna massacre me if I say it out loud. But do you know what album was out around the same time that kind of had some of the same vibes? That was really popular was Sheryl Crow, The Globe Sessions. I feel like that just kind of
always forget about her.
That kind of subtle, really good songwriting, good messages. earthy production. That's kind of, I feel like this album fits in that pocket, and that was very popular at the time.
Well, during this time, Annie was her, and we didn't know it at the time, but shortly after the Peace Tour was over, she separated from her husband, Yuri Fruchman. So that was, so I think that was what a lot of these lyrics were about, was that breakup.
Okay, does anyone else want to touch on anything but Strong before we move on?
Can I roll back just a hot second to I Saved the World Today?
Sure, yeah.
I just was trying to recollect. There was a 7-inch single pressed of it, which I don't own because it's really hard to find. But it was done as a benefit for a mental health charity, and it was done in 2018, so like over 10 years, almost 10 years after the album came out.
Oh.
But they did an edition, and I think they did it with other artists. But they basically pressed 100 copies of it, each one with a unique artist sleeve.
Oh, that's so cool.
I don't know anyone that owns one, but I'm thinking,
Mike, wherever you are.
I'm wondering if he has one.
Yeah, it's not me, I can tell you that.
Mark, I need your jacket.
Oh, thank you. Yes, this is
You're not even trying to change your outfit. Like I wasn't ready to change my look.
I was getting cold.
Mark, did you wear that to Hall of Fame? Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
I think I did to one of the.
I think you did.
And I've got my fan club. Can you see it? My fan club DNA on.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
But it's not a real Peace jacket, but I say that it is. So
I felt like it needed a shout out.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
I'll remember when they played in Seattle. They did a concert that was part of a larger thing that was associated with the Experience Music Project.
Yeah, the Bill Gates thing.
And like Beck played, and there was, I believe it was during Eurythmics when like there was some like helicopter that almost like it was so close to the stage that you could see like the breeze that it was causing from.
Wow.
And they stopped singing.
It was Eurythmics, and they stopped, and I think she was like talking or yelling at the
waving the
helicopter.
Away.
Right, like fly away. Is that what she was saying?
Yeah. And it's a great version of Missionary Man that they did in that concert. It was part of their mini, just them, the two of them, after the Peace Tour. They did a short tour in Europe, and it ended early because she hurt her back.
Oh.
And so it was just the two of them. They didn't have a band. There's some great, if you don't have it, I'll try to put it in the chat.
We need it all. This is like that. This is the last Eurythmics. We need it all. Give us all of it, Mark.
That Live by Request that they did, A&E did in mid-January. And I sat next to Brendan Holiday.
Yeah.
Passed away last summer.
Yeah.
And that was amazing. But Dave sang Walk on the Wild Side.
Oh, yeah, live?
Yeah, live, but it's recorded. I think Steve said it's recorded somewhere.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
It was great because you can imagine how well he would do that song.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And he did Sweet Dreams as a guitar kind of Marilyn Manson kind of version. Remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, yeah. Anyway.
And a full version of Would I Lie to You, which on the Peace Tour, remember, it was part of the gospel medley.
Oh.
But so it's the only version that they were doing at that time that was a full version of Would I Lie to You.
I think there's an amazing version of Kelly Clarkson doing Sweet Dreams Are Made of This. Actually, like if you YouTube it, it's pretty great.
And
she does some great covers too. She's really good at covers. Good. I saw something else recently.
She did a great version of Pavement Cracks too.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking.
Don't get me started on Bear.
We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there.
All right,
Yeah, we
friends.
did.
I know, but
My friends, I want to be done by 11 o'clock, so I'm going to keep us on track.
Oh,
Well,
shit.
sorry, we'll keep
Sorry.
it moving so we know what that's like.
I only had 3 hours of sleep last night. I apologize. All right. Peace is Just a Word is our next song. The Eurythmics, interestingly enough, have like kind of like half title tracks. Like In the Garden, there wasn't a song in the garden, but they mentioned it in some of the lyrics. Touch is mentioned in some of the lyrics on the album Touch. So I feel like this kind of is the title track of the album. What an epic song. When I was listening to this in the car today, I was like, holy crap. I have, of course, the singles. I'm sure everyone has these. And I'll just show this little thing really quick. I got the little, where is it? Oh, here we go. The little Peace Tour promo that they gave out at some of the shows.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of Peace is Just a Word?
It's a great song. Great.
It was the closer to the Peace Tour before they did Sweet Dreams. It's the encore.
Yeah.
I think it's probably one of the best songs on the album and really a strong song for them overall. I actually think, I don't think it, well, I don't want to say it gets lost in the middle, but I kind of feel like it would have been a great opener.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And, but I mean, I love the song. You know, it's very powerful.
And it builds and builds and builds. I feel like we need Jimmy here from the Blondie podcast to give his alternate track list. Nick, what do you think of this one?
It's very rich in terms of its orchestration. So, in contrast with a lot of the earlier albums, which are very much DIY ordeals, where it's just Dave and Annie on an 8-track, where they're doing all the instruments, mostly just keyboards, a few guitars here and there. This entire album, including this song, benefits greatly from the addition of drums and an orchestra. And it just shows the evolution of their production skills, whereas with the first album was them experimenting with microphone placement with Connie Blake. Now their entire sound is far more mature, and I think that it just demonstrates the wonderful trajectory that they took.
And I feel like it was mature without being like droll adult contemporary, which was such a fine line sometimes, and they always were on the right side of it, I felt like.
Yeah,
But
certainly.
Nick, don't you think that's part technology? Because if the technology is what it was in 1999, they would have already been. They're so advanced. You just can't.
Yeah, it's certainly a byproduct of the technology that was available, and they capitalized on it in the 80s. I am a huge fan of 80s music, so it wasn't a slight against that era. It was more so demonstrating how they were actually able to adapt very tastefully to the new technology, whereas maybe some of their other contemporaries were not able to make that same leap.
No, they were not. All right. Who else wants to talk about Peace is Just a Word?
I think it would have been a good ending track too. The album,
Yeah.
honestly, it would have worked on either end. Very powerful song.
I would like to ask Lynn because she mentioned before that she saw the Peace Tour 6 times. I watched a live video of this song, which I think is like so beautiful. I feel like, you know what, had I seen it live, I probably would have been mesmerized.
Well, not unlike Miracle of Love, Peace is Just a Word was amazing live. It was so quiet and powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would die to have seen that. And I hope she comes to America and actually takes that song, because it's so good.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, you guys. You know what? This album, for me, the re-listen, I missed out. But it is a
Yeah, it's a
mood,
great album.
it is a mood, and I wasn't in that mood at that time of my life.
Well, we said that on a lot of albums. And I think this is a very specific one too. It's a very mature album. And I think the more you mature, I think you get a lot of it and you understand a lot of it.
Right.
Excuse me, Mark. I was mature in 99. Hello.
I feel like you definitely do like grow into this album though.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was talking to Thomas Lindsay, who famously recorded with Dave on the Stuart Lindsay blues albums.
Oh, yeah.
And Peace is the first time he discovered Eurythmics. That's where I was trying to get him to come on the podcast, but I couldn't get him to.
Wow.
But I want to read what he said about it, because this album means a lot to him. But he says, Peace to me is an album almost of life lessons. Each song is either about what was learned, what was lost, or what's to come.
Oh.
And I think that's a really brilliant summation of the album. And it, again, is a very mature album. And it looks back and it looks forward and it looks at what's happening now. And I think that was a really great way to look at that. And I think it's cool that that's where he discovered. That's how he saw the Peace tour on television and said, "Who is this?" And that's how he discovered them. And at some point, a few years later, he's making albums with Dave Stewart.
Right.
What a story! I mean, it's just great.
I also feel like there's a reason. I feel like there's a reason that this album came back into my life now. Like, I feel like with the state of the world, to hear this album today and have it hit the way it did today shows that maybe and maybe you also, David, maybe we just weren't ready for this album till now.
You're right, Jeremy. You're right.
And it
That's
came
a really good point.
out 2 years before.
I was immature in 1999. No, I was. I'm not kidding.
Sort of irony that it came out 2 years before 9/11.
Right.
Yeah, that was, well, and right, like I said, right at the turn of the millennium.
Mhm. Yeah.
I want to hear from Jimmy. Jimmy. Oh, Jimmy.
I've already said something about the song. I think it would have been good at the front or the end, and I love when Lynn mentioned something. You were talking about the live version of this and how she, equated it to Miracle of Love. I immediately thought of that.
Yeah.
When I hear this song, I immediately go to Miracle of Love. This is
Pretty. So is the Miracle of
Yeah.
Love. Yes, Lynn,
Yeah.
for sure. Beautiful songs.
All right. Well, moving on. I've Tried Everything is the next song. This is another one that I feel is like
Look at
totally
Mark and me. We're like,
Yeah, this is a great one. Do you guys want to start this one off?
Lynn, go ahead.
so right off the bat, I'm going to go first. Ladies first. Ladies first.
Go, Lynn.
The original of this on the album is so far superior, and I never really doubted Dave and Annie on their remastered. I don't like the remastered.
Mm-hmm.
The original of this has this sort of clanky, sort of chunky guitar, and it's like it sort of clangs in your head, is what I thought. And I always tell stories, and when I listen to this, as I flew back after I got back from Paris, I finally listened to this album, and I'm walking through Central Park, and this song came on. I had to stop at a bench. I couldn't. It was so impactful to me.
Wow.
It made me cry.
Oh.
And I called Eric Gustin, who, if we know Eric Gustin, I had to call him Eric. I love this song.
Yeah, I think it could have been a single. I don't know anyone who doesn't really love this song. So we'll have to see on the people here if that's correct. But it's such a great song. The original is superior. I don't mind the.
Oh yeah.
I think what must have happened, because the 2005 remasters, and this just came out in 1999, so it didn't quote need a remastering. So my thought process is, Peace is just a word. It's slightly different. I've Tried Everything is definitely different. And so my thought is, so let's give them a little something different, because, a 5-year-old album didn't really need to be quote remastered.
Yeah, I guess
But
so.
that's what. But I love this song. I thought everything about it. It was on the soundtrack for the what was it? What television show?
Not Sopranos.
The Sopranos. Yeah.
Yes, that's the one on the
So it got a lot of attention there too. But this is one of the top 2 songs on the album for me.
And wasn't I Save the World also on The Sopranos? I think that one was also.
Was it? I didn't know
I
that.
think so.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah.
Because haven't we all thought this stuff to in our heads at times in our life? I mean, you know.
When I listened to this today, like I was like, did she just say that? I'm a loser? Like, I had to go look at the lyrics. I'm like, oh shit, she went there.
Yeah, but it's like Lynn's saying. It is a lot like a lot of things that Annie writes. It's this talking to herself, you know, where like, oh, I can't believe I did that kind of thing. You know? Yeah.
It's powerful.
Yeah, this album's a masterpiece that I missed out on originally.
It's one of their best songs, actually.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And shout out to Mike. I feel like Mike, isn't this one of his top 2 favorite Eurythmics albums? So I'm kind of wish he was here to.
I wish he was too. Yeah.
I'm surprised.
Well, he messaged me, and he has builders at his house. The whole place is a nightmare. My apologies.
Oh,
well, he's probably installing a studio with all these, you know, amazing like turntables.
More posters.
And then like Eurythmics Museum.
Well, Mark, let him know that if he wants to just jump on at the end and give his overview, we'd love to even have him for a couple minutes.
I'll let him know. Okay.
Yeah. Does anybody else want to expand on this song?
I also enjoy it. It's a good one.
You like
Very
this one?
Oh, good. I wanted to hear what you thought, Nick.
Thanks, Nick.
I know, Nick. I'm not going to call on you every song. You got to jump in.
That's fair. I'll try to assert myself.
All right. Well, moving forward, let me get back to the track list here. I Want It All. This is another one where the guitars come out.
Yeah.
John?
I'm medium. I remember liking it a lot when I heard it initially, and then thinking about it now to me this feels like a filler song. But
Lynn's favorite word.
But in the context,
Filler?
Yeah.
it feels like a filler song. But in the context of
Filler.
Theme of the album of like peace, and you know, it's sort of a critique on materialism, but it's also a very like simplistic song, although there's this one part of it where it's very almost chant like like the yeah part, and it made me actually think of bits of the Touch album where I was like, you know, I would actually be interested in hearing this song. Like if you took the song and reorchestrated it for Touch, like it had that synthy sound to it, it could be kind of a cool, but to me it's a little bit more of like a B-side.
Okay.
But for sure on the yeah, you know what? Yeah. I'm sorry, guys.
And there's some lyrics, John, that connect to, not exactly, but where she's talking about her skin.
Yeah, peel back my skin.
You can kind of go back to Touch there, but peel back my skin so that you can see what I really am, the true color of me. Peel back my skin so that you can see what I really am. I mean, give me some more. Again, great lyrics. But I love your thought there, John, on if you took this and you made it a synth song, and that kind of great stuff that they were doing with Touch. How interesting. I never thought of that, but I love that idea.
And the lyrics are kind of like a sister to the first cut. You know, you can see my skin.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you know, if for those, because I saw it so many times, this is the opening song of the Peace tour.
Yeah.
They come on, I think Dave first, then Annie, of course, and she struts in. They're wearing big old parkas. And it was really a great starting song because the energy of it was really great. But I agree that it's kind of a filler song, except the lyrics are really great in that stanza.
Because that's what Annie did.
What?
No, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I love Dave.
What did you say?
I said, well, because that was Annie's part of the job.
It is one of those things. It kind of sticks out from the album, just the way it sounds. But you know, you need those kind of things.
Yeah.
But it was the interesting thing. like Lynn said, it opened the tour because that very
And
rocky.
it was like, boom, we were there. If you were there.
You were dancing. If you were there, you were up and dancing to it. You know, you were having a good time to it. That's for sure.
Lyrically, it reminds me of I've Got an Angel from the Sweet Dreams album because it's very minimal lyrics to I've Got an Angel, and they're kind of repeated over and over again. And this kind of does the same thing. I mean, there's not a whole lot of different lyrics here. It's a lot of the same thing over and over and over again. And that's exactly how I've Got an Angel
Yeah.
was too. So it kind of takes a nod back to that time period of their writing.
You and John are blowing my mind. So you're so right. That's so cool.
Everybody's blown my mind, but that's easy to do.
Well, it was interesting for me to listen to this album because you're like, oh, that's Annie Lennox that's saying this song. Oh, this is Eurythmics. There's every era there's so unique and standalone. You know what I mean? Like, Be Yourself Tonight, Eurythmics, to me is a whole different universe than Touch Eurythmics. And I love them both.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Well, My True Love. This song to me is like just that classic Annie Lennox ballad. Kind of like a little maybe hint of love song for a vampire for me in the melody, just a little bit.
That song.
Yeah, that's one of my top favorite Annie songs.
Oh my god.
But yeah, just the beautiful melody.
You should have got the Academy Award for that. Hello.
Yeah. What do you guys think of My True Love?
There's a lot of there's several referential lyrics in it. I mean, it does sound like a solo, more towards her solo orchestrated ballad. But I do like that it references both Who's That Girl with China Cup. My True Love is a Dangerous China Cup.
Yes.
And then I didn't even realize that it even references Sweet Dreams, saying, now all the colors left to run, all the dreams have been undone.
Mike's going to jump on in 10 minutes, by the way.
Oh, yay!
Oh, great.
Woo! I'm going to blow everyone's mind, though. I don't like this song.
Thank you, Mark. I don't either.
It's and perhaps Nick can explain it to me, but it's the tone of her voice in it, and we'll talk about it on Ultimate Collection. There are some songs, and they're usually Annie songs, and there's a tone that doesn't do well with my ear. I love the lyrics, but I cannot listen to this song. I don't like the China Cup lyrics.
So there's a side of her that triggers you.
Yeah, what Nick, what's the key that she's in? Tell me, you're the smart one about music. Is she
perhaps what you're referencing is that there isn't a lot of bass in terms of the frequencies to her voice. It's a little bit tinny. It doesn't bother me as much, but I could certainly conceive why someone else might have or take issue with that.
I don't, Lynn, is that what it is with you?
Yeah. Yeah. It
doesn't have
I love Nick's interjections.
That's all I say.
Nick,
it's
you're
not
awesome.
pleasing to me.
Yeah, thank you, Nick.
Sure.
Yeah, it's the one song. So I couldn't give the album a 10 because I don't like that song. I can't.
You already gave us our rating?
No.
Sorry. I'm just
We haven't done thumbs up and thumbs down, have we?
No.
But most of the lyrics are great, and I like the idea of the song. And it starts out okay, and it's very visual. It's the tone. I can't listen to it.
All right. Do we have any other arguments? Any other counter arguments from the jury?
I'll slightly defend it, but more so because of the instrumentation as opposed to the vocals. I tend to prefer the mellower compositions, particularly on this album. The guitars are very well orchestrated. There aren't any outlandish solos. It's just more so playing a part, and it's done in a tasteful manner that I appreciate, where it's embedded in the song. And I love the very warm synth pads. Vocals, I can live with that. It's fine. It's still Annie Lennox.
Yeah.
I love that for Mark and Lynn right now. That was perfect, Nick.
All right. Any other thoughts on My True Love? All right. Forever. This is the song to me that had a little bit of Beatles
Yeah.
ishness.
Oh, it's so good.
This is
Such a good song.
Beatles-esque for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like it's, sometimes it's in Dave's bag of tricks. When he did Stevie Nicks' album many years later, there were a couple Beatles-ish moments. I like this song. I thought it was a good one. I don't have a lot to say about it, but I enjoyed it. Any other thoughts from the panel?
Well, this was a long coming song for me. And my last car, I uploaded the entire Eurythmics catalog to the sound system in the car. And it came after My True Love, which we just determined that I did not love. And for many years, I did not listen to Forever. But I'm in the car once and it's playing and I'm, thinking about something else because I'm in the car. And it gets to, I guess, the bridge. Some people never take the time to try. The way you live's the way you die. The stuff of life's in short supply. And if it sometimes hits you strong, remembering that things go wrong, the song of life is just a song and everything goes on. And that, man, that hit me like a brick. And I've loved that song ever since. I did just like everything about that bridge. And it was perfection. And then I loved the Beatles-esque, but it was I hadn't let myself pay attention to it. I mean, and I'm talking about probably in the last 5 or 6 years, and Mike Wilson has joined us.
Thank goodness.
I
know.
Thank you, guys. I've literally just ran in, grabbed a few things, and I've got to go again. So thank you. Hi, Lynn. How you doing?
We only have one song left to discuss on Peace, then we'll give our
We
ratings.
missed you.
Thank you.
I have my
I missed
Peace
you
Peace
I
badge.
know my mom's gonna be pissed.
guys.
All right. Do we have any other thoughts on Forever? Let's get through the. Go ahead, Lynn.
Before Mike, because I want to hear Mike, I love this song. And the two things that I would like to say about Forever, because it has some definite Beatles smackings or whatever, that's the wrong word, but also I've heard that this was written kind of for Pete Coombs, who was the band member in The Tourists who'd passed away, who was kind of the impetus of them talking right before they did a tour. He died in 1998, 97, something, drug overdose.
Oh.
But I love the song, and I'm a Beatles fan, so this is the perfect thing. It's the marriage of Eurythmics
And Beatles. Yeah, cool.
Woo-hoo.
Well, let's go through the last song, and then we'll do the synopsis of the album, because I'd love to hear just Mike's overview, because I know he's only here for a minute. Do we have any thoughts?
Make him hurry up and go through all the songs really quick.
All right. Do we have any thoughts on Lifted, you guys?
It's my favorite song on the album. It's one of my favorite Eurythmics songs ever. I want
Really?
it at my funeral. There you go.
Okay.
Wow. Wow.
Jordan, I adore it. It's one of their best songs ever.
It is a great song.
It is a great way to end the album, I feel like, and I guess unless you count the two songs on the Ultimate Eurythmics, it's kind of like the last song on their last album.
Good point. Len, what do you think of it?
I love Lifted. If I'll play it at your service if you play it at mine.
I'll do it. I won't sing it. I'll play the song. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
We know. I was looking at the credits, but do we know if the flute on it is Annie? It has. I'm trying to read the microscopic credits on the.
I know, they're so small.
And I don't see where it says she played flute, but there's definitely flute in it, and it's her. I don't know the factual, but I like it. The song too. I do like that. They could have ended with "Peace is just a word," but that also could have been a downer of a song to end with. So I do like. It reminds me a bit of like ending Savage with "Brand New Day."
Yeah.
With like a bit of like a hope.
Well, Mike Wilson, we are we're still going to talk about Ultimate Eurythmics, but let's do our ratings for this album. Do I remember correctly that this is one of your top 3 favorite Eurythmics albums?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Okay, so I like David's idea. If you want to just go like through the songs and give a little thought, and then your album ranking scale of 1 to 10, the floor is all yours.
I'm going to go over it in order of the album, which is different from the CD, right? The original issue, as I understand. Okay. 17 again, superb. Love it. I love the reference to the early Sweet Dreams. I love the reference to the reporter that said they should have died in a plane crash or something.
Yes.
Virtual. That was a good stab back. I love that. Did you already discuss that?
Yeah,
15 years later, yes, she's still doing it.
Oh, and good call. I love that.
Yeah.
I Saved the World Today. Oh my God. Beautiful. Love it. Beautiful, lush, gorgeous song. I want to come back to some collectibles on that. Beautiful Child, nice. Filler, but nice. Anything But Strong, nice. Nice, classic, lush.
Filler.
Yeah.
Filler.
Peace is just a word. Oh my God. I love that song. When that song played live with the full orchestra, it is just amazing. It's amazing. It's just like a big, powerful machine. And on the Peace tour, I just couldn't get enough of that. Seeing it live was a whole experience.
Like the Miracle of Love. It's so powerful live.
It really does. It comes into its own. It's an incredible song, and I love that song. I've Tried Everything is probably one of my favorite songs ever of Eurythmics. It's so melancholic. Her vocal is so beautiful, and the both versions I really love, the original one and the second one that was on the remasters with that dinky little synthesized banjo sound going through it. I didn't like it at first, but I love it. It's flawless. I Want It All. I love that song because it's so vulgar and ugly, intentionally
Perfect.
vile, because it's so true, right? So the irony is not lost on me at all. It's like, yeah, peel back the skin so you can see the true color of me, who I am, the really true color of me. And it's like, I want it all. I don't know what it is, but I just want it all. It's so vulgar, and it's sung in an ugly way as well. And it's just perfect Eurythmics irony. Nailed it. Love that song.
Perfect.
Now this is where it goes downhill.
Oh no!
So if the album had finished about here, it would be flawless. But the last 3 songs, particularly Forever, no, I just can't do it. It's too Beatles-esque for me. It's too try hard. I'm sorry, Lynn. I know you just said you love it, but doesn't mean I don't love you, though.
We all love Lynn.
Thank you guys. I love you guys.
And Lifted, I just don't get it. I do not get it. I know you either love it or you hate it, but I just don't get that song. It's just cringy.
Well, thanks for joining us, Mike. That was great.
Thanks for your cameo.
Love you too, Mike.
Well,
Cheerio. Yeah. Ta.
you're going to show some
Give us
collectibles.
your rate.
Yeah, scale of 1 to 10. Peace.
8.5.
8.5.
Can I just show you a couple of things?
Yeah, show us some collectibles.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Show us.
Sorry.
Talk about this. I Saved the World Today, Secret 7.
Oh, he's got it. We all wondered if you did.
Yeah,
Okay, well, might have one.
how many? You got 99 of them?
Yeah, I wish. For a long time, I Saved the World Today was not available on 7-inch vinyl at all anywhere, but it was issued in Italy as a double A side promo jukebox. Side A had I Saved the World Today, and side B has got Westlife, Flying Without Wings. So this was all that existed for a long time.
Okay.
Was pressed on vinyl back in 99, I guess. So that's that. Now, a couple of the I Saved the World Today Secret 7 picture sleeves that I've got, not only the 2. I love this one.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
The globe. it's the world, but it's in a middle, you know. So obviously that was, you know, I Saved the World Today. It was pretty obvious. Um, and the other one that I've got here, is
Can
it's
we go
like,
back to the last one?
yeah, sure.
Show off. Okay, go on.
The other one I've got is this is like a basketball,
It
and it's
sure
got the
is.
lyrics to the song
Oh, how interesting.
Oh,
written on it.
Whoa.
so there were
That-
Wait.
100 different covers of the 7 inch. Is
yeah,
that
that's right. So I've
Wow.
got two, but here's the other thing that's interesting. There were also 7 test copies made in addition to the 100.
And you have one.
Of course he does.
I'm bragging, so cut me some slack. This is test pressing number 1,
oh
Oh,
photographed by David.
Oh,
oh my God.
not
Oh my
one
God.
signature, but two.
On the vinyl
Quattro.
and the sleeve.
Dos,
So,
dos.
Very nice.
Woo.
Excellent.
yeah.
so those 100 different covers, how many were pressed of each one?
One.
One.
Only one. Okay. Shit.
Shut up.
So each one is unique to the artist, and
Wow.
there's a little sleeve in here that tells you all about the artist as well,
Yeah.
and
What
what
was the charity?
a mental health organization. I
Okay.
can't
Do
remember.
they still do this?
What's that?
Do they still do it each year or not?
I really don't know.
I don't
Actually,
know. I haven't heard of it in a while. Yeah, it was cool.
Thanks for indulging me.
Well, Mike, thank you.
Oh my God.
I'm so glad you stopped by. Let's
I'm super happy. And I know
Mike.
Ryan's too.
How about my posters you wanted to see?
Yeah.
So excellent, Mark.
Is that a double subway poster?
Well, it's actually 2 of 3. I don't own the middle part. Do you see where you can see?
oh yeah.
yeah.
There's a middle part.
Yeah.
I think it's from Germany actually, but I don't know. I don't have the middle section.
That's cool. Very cool.
So Mike had said, "Well, I got to see what subway posters you're going to have. You're going to be on the podcast, right?" And
Yeah.
but then Mike
Um,
here, and I framed them and everything for Mike, and then you got to see them. So
Aw.
all right.
I do
Well,
have.
I just want to show you that I have an Alta credit card.
Oh,
What
That's
is
what I'm showing you. I don't have anything but an Alta credit card.
I
Never
do have I Saved the World Today
Sorry, I
subway,
had too much wine.
but I don't have it hung up. I'm sorry, I didn't have time.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
well, let's
Another one.
continue around the
You
circle.
made it.
Let's continue around the circle with our ratings really quick. Did you have one more thing to say, Mike?
No, I'll just stick around until more builders turn up.
Okay.
Oh, God.
So, David, I feel like you had an experience with this album. I'd love to hear your rating.
Yeah, no, I fell in love with this album. Looking forward to this podcast. I love it so much. I need to give it like a 9.5. And you know what? It's not based on my earlier ratings because I just didn't understand how much I was going to love this album. So I hadn't listened to it, and I knew a couple of the singles. But yeah, I really love this album. I think I'm gonna listen to it forever now.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
And I irresponsibly grouped it I group it with We Two Are One, like an album that I don't love as much. And I don't, after listening to it for this podcast, I definitely rediscovered it just like David and fell in love with it.
That's
So-
great, Dave, Jeremy.
All right, well, Mark, what do you rank this album?
Since as I said, I cannot listen to My True Love. I can't do it. So I'm going to give it a 9 because I love the rest of it. But if there's a song I just cannot listen to, I can't give it my usual 10.
Damn.
So wait,
Gonna have
out of 11 songs, one song makes it a 9? Because
So
you don't like any of it?
My True Love. Well, I can
It gets a
I can
0.
appreciate the lyrics, but I can't listen.
You don't think I can bump you up to 9.5?
Okay, 9.5.
Thank you.
All right.
You're right. It's 11. A little bit more. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to match you there. All right.
Lynn, what do you give the album?
Very hard. I don't like My True Love, but I have to say I saw the concert
Mm.
6 times. I saw them live during this period 9 times for the impact of how it was in the positive way and the negative thing for my credit rating because I was
No.
flying to a lot of places. I would say a 10. I mean, I have to say, and I didn't say this at the when we were talked about this song. When my father was in ICU, I sang him "I Saved the World Today,"
Oh.
and he had like one tear in his eye. I don't know if it was my singing or the song or whatever,
Oh.
but it was such the power of this album to me in my life. And I listened to it again. It's not one I listened to particularly the second side for some reason, but I love the album, so it's a 10 for me.
Wow.
Love that. That's a great. I love that.
Oh my God, Lynn, I love you.
I love you guys. Yeah.
All right, John, what do you rank the album?
I would say in hindsight, I would probably I'm sort of in the 8 to 8.5 range. I think like the like everything that went around it, including like the experience of like meeting other fans, the tour, the anticipation of it and stuff was, so on the PR side, it's like a 9. On the like actual album side, I'm still in sort of like an 8. I'm gonna give it an 8.5.
Okay.
Okay.
All right,
I
Jim.
love how you give it credit for like promotion and all that.
David's trying to get each of us to do it a little bit more.
I know. I'm like, I love it. After listening to it all day, I'm like, oh, it's brilliant.
All right, Jim, what's your rating?
It's hard because every Eurythmics album is different, so you can't rate one against the other, so that makes it difficult. But going through the whole catalog in my head, and um, this is the only Eurythmics album that I do not skip a song on. All the other ones, there's one track, maybe two. It's like, oh, I'll listen to that one later, so I can get to one I like better. This one goes on from song 1 and doesn't stop till the last song, song 11, unless you get the ones with the bonus, the acoustic versions of "I Saved the World Today" and 17 Again and "Beautiful Child," and then there's "Something in the Air," which I think is a really good song too on one of the
Oh, yeah.
CDs. Yeah, and so 10. I got
10.
10.
Nah.
Jimmy, I knew you
Yay.
wouldn't let
Thank
me
you,
down.
Jim.
David, make him give it 10.5.
He did give it 10. I need to revise mine to a 10.
No.
I'm going to up mine as well.
Oh, Nick.
It's amazing, you guys.
Nick, what do you give this album?
So a lot of artists late in their career, they succumb to those late album slumps where they're not able to reach the peak of their career. Fortunately, this is not one of those instances. I think that it matches some of their earlier albums and in some cases exceeds the quality. I would probably give it 8.5, 8.6. You could probably convince me to bring it up to a 9, David. I'm sure you can make it happen. But for now, I'm going to keep it within the mid-8 territory, just because there are some songs where I'm not as fond of them, but I do enjoy a lot of the mellower compositions. I didn't mention Forever Lifted really at all, but I'll just quickly give them tacit approval. They're not great, but I think they're very solid tracks. I probably would I would give the edge more to Lifted. I really like the flute solo in particular.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cohesive package, with the exception of the more guitar-oriented songs like I Want It All. Maybe if they made that mellower, it would be a more comfortable 9.
Cool.
Yay.
All right.
Thank you, Nick.
So is it my turn to try and like get him to go up?
Yes, it's your turn. Go for it.
Wait a second. I haven't given my rating.
Okay.
Oh,
Wait a second. All right. So what a journey from In the Garden to this album. I mean, look at where, like, through Sweet Dreams, that Touch, then the 1984, Be Yourself Tonight, Revenge. What a podcast that was. I mean, even this podcast
Oh.
series going through it. Savage. Like, the journey that Dave and Annie took us on through this discography is really one of a kind. So consistent, so solid. How many bands have albums that each album is such a unique experience visually and the audio, you know what I mean? Like, amazing. So for this album to be the end of a chapter, that In the Garden was such a subtle album compared to Sweet Dreams and Touch. With this album, it kind of goes back to that subtle a little bit, and kind of that a little bit more hazy, a little more, melancholy, kind of like the first album. So I feel like it's a full circle discography.
Yes.
I'm going to have to give it, I'm going to give it a 9 for now, but it could go up to a 10. It might go up to a 10.
Wow, I wasn't expecting that.
Wow, thank you, Jeremy.
Because I thought I was going to give it like a 6 or a 7 before today.
Oh,
And I listened to it, I'm like, oh.
What?
So,
Okay.
It's fun to rediscover an album, isn't it? That you see it differently at a different time in your life.
well,
It's always cool.
through the lens of what's happening in the world today, to hear this album today and the messages on it, I mean, it couldn't hit any more hard than it could today in some ways. So
That is the brilliance of the Eurythmics. And you guys, okay, wait, this is my vote for everybody to give it a 10. I am sorry, but the Eurythmics are fucking brilliant,
They are fucking
right?
brilliant, Dave.
All their songs, it touches on different points of our life, which is what we were talking about earlier. This one, oh my God. Okay, so, and I am going on like my today version of like doing the deep dive. I started listening to it like just yesterday, and I was like, oh, okay, wait, where are the hooks? Whatever. So but all day today I listened to it, and every single song crept in and found a space in my life that I related to. This is like, hello. You know what? I don't want it to be the last Eurythmics album, but when you take it all into context, it's a 10. They're brilliant.
Sorry.
Lynn,
I agree so much because I for obvious reasons I don't listen to it a whole lot, but I have been listening to it, and it just is so incredible.
Yes.
It
Lynn,
just, now I'm going to listen to it more.
all right, Mike, you got something to add in.
Yeah, Lynn, you shared that beautiful story about your father, which I think is wonderful. I want to tell you, 1999, I lost my mother as well. And I split up from my very long-term 10-year relationship. So 99 was a massive year of change and upheaval for me. I remember I had the tickets booked for Eurythmics to play in Brisbane in November, and my mum died in July. The last thing I said to her, she said to me, "Will you be okay?" And I said, "I'll be fine. I'll go home and listen to Eurythmics," meaning this.
Oh,
That was the last thing I said to her.
Oh.
And then my relationship split up. And
I wonder if, Mike, I wonder if we knew that at the time.
No, because we were on the Yahoo groups at that time.
Okay, Yahoo, and that was July of 2000?
Yeah, that was 99.
Okay, yeah, same period.
So this album and that time has a very special place in my life as well. So I really, really relate to what you just
Yeah.
said.
It's
Isn't it like
very
the
poignant, but it's been
Eurythmics actually
25
having-
years, so you can now revisit it. And
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
But isn't that like Annie and Dave have been through it all, and they understand it and have put it into words and music? It's like,
Well, in the Eurythmic story, much like an infomercial, but wait, there's more. Because in 2005, Ultimate Collection came out with 2 new songs, which are really to date the 2 last Eurythmics tracks. Here's my I Got a Life singles. I have a few different ones of the little promo ones. And then what's the other song? It's Another Love Affair.
Was it Another Love Affair?
Just another love affair.
So what do you guys think of these 2 songs to finish off this podcast series?
I think, well, the first one, I've Got a Life, I think was an interesting choice. I love the video. Again, that's like tongue in cheek, but also there's a seriousness to it as well. But there's also sort of like a playfulness to it. It reminds me a lot of like Little Bird, the video for Little Bird, where you have multiple personas and kind of, it's a chaotic video too. I don't know. I honestly don't remember how well or not it did as a single, like statistically. And for the second one, was it just another love affair? To me, that sounds like Arista Records, Annie Lennox, trying to kind of doing like a slow jam.
Right.
I'm not a huge fan of her vocals on it. It almost feels almost demo-like, in that it could have been written for like another singer. And it reminds me a lot of like Step by Step, where it's like, that's Whitney. Like I could hear an R&B singer singing it. The version on the greatest hits was, I'm gonna say it's good. I don't think for me, it's not personally a great song.
All right, does anybody else want to reflect on these 2 songs?
Yeah, I liked I Got a Life. I think the video of it was very creative. Um, symbolizing a lot of things that were changing during that time period. And this is the other song I was talking about before that kind of gives a little nod uh, back to Sweet Dreams. It's not lyrically, but it's in the instrumentation of it. The little cowbell, Sweet Dreams. You hear it again in I've Got a Life. I think it's towards the end. I'd have to listen to it and find out exactly where that is. But yeah, that really is, I mean, I love Sweet Dreams. I mean, who doesn't?
Right.
And any tie back to that song is going to be a winner for me. So I do love I Got a Life, but I'm gonna have to agree with John on Another Love Affair. It just Lynn, you like to use the word feel. Like this was like, oh, we need to put one more new track on there to to appease people. And oh, here's something. They just pulled it out of the end table next to the bed, and said, "Oh, we got this."
The placement of it on the album is kind of weird, because the CD, the CD ends with King and Queen of America, which I thought was an odd choice, because it's like out of order in a way.
I kind of felt like I've Got a Life. I did like the production. There was some synthesizer in there, but I didn't feel like it had that killer hook like the Eurythmics greatest hits have. Like, it was serviceable and it was great, but it wasn't like a missionary, like that hook that you just can't get out of your head, in my opinion.
I think it was the beginning of the song is a little too slow for a little too long before it really hooks in.
Yes.
And I'm always wanting it to come on. And it's just a little bit slow on the uptake. It's a great song.
It has a weird time change to it in several parts, which is it's a little jarring and kind of unexpected, but not in like an experimental, like interesting way. It's sort of
Yeah, I was going to say it really kind of speeds through when it starts, and you get to the bridge, and I really love the bridge. But it does, and I like the song, and I adore the video. I love the video screens. I love that they're inside a disco ball. That's the idea of it, that they're inside this disco ball, and I love that concept. So, I always love those. You can see what Dave is kind of wanting to do. It doesn't, if it's successful all the time, but I love the idea of the video. It's very strange, very Eurythmics in that sense. It's not a surprise if you remember what I just said about My True Love. I cannot listen to Was It Just Another Love Affair for the same reason. It's got that same tone. I don't think the lyrics are bad. I think the music too. I don't like the vocals. I don't like the music. It's a no-go for me, and I've tried.
So this is where my darling concert husband and I differ.
Oh,
I mean, I can't say I love it, but I do like Was It Just Another Love Affair. I remember reading that it was supposed to be like a song that you would hear playing outside of a radio on a summer night, playing out of an apartment. And so I kept that in mind, but it grew on me over the years, and it's very poignant, and I really like it. Now, do I listen to it a lot? Do I seek it out? No, but I like it when I hear it. I enjoy it.
I did like the
Sorry,
marketing.
Mark.
Oh, I like the
still love
marketing for the album because the collection has a vintage picture of them, but then the single has kind of the same outfit with the 2005 versions of them. So I thought that was some
That's
clever
pretty
marketing.
cool.
Yeah.
Didn't they do, if I'm not mistaken, when Ultimate and Boxed and stuff came out, they really kind of like very encapsulated the Gilbert and George imagery.
Absolutely.
Didn't they do some sort of like exhibit where they sat in a gallery where like they didn't move, but everyone else was like running around them?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
They are so great that way.
Oh.
aren't they?
I remember being a little disappointed in the album cover because it just because it went back to the Sweet Dreams era, and my only thought process on it was that they had done so much,
Yeah.
had such other iconic looks, that I was kind of like, I didn't like the idea of people thinking, well, that's what they're known for, and that's not actually true. It's a great image, and it's not the artistry of the cover. It's just, I don't know. But then again, you have to think, okay, what picture could you have used that would have summed all that up? So, that's difficult too. But I still think the original greatest hits, even though it wouldn't have some of the latest songs, is a superior, the UK version, I should say, is the superior greatest hits.
I agree.
Are there differences between
Who said I agree?
the Ultimate Collection and indie versus global, or is it the same track listing around the world?
I think the only difference is I don't think the King and Queen of America is on the actual CD. It's on a bonus track if you download it.
Right. So that kind of explains why it's out of order a little bit chronologically.
There's nothing on it from We Two Are One bothers me. And of course, neither Greatest Hits has anything from In the Garden, which I think is not appropriate. But that nothing from We Two Are One is on the Ultimate Collection bothers me, because I think Don't Ask Me Why I should be on it, if nothing else.
Sure.
Absolutely.
And I've interviewed Dave before. I've never interviewed Annie, but I've interviewed Dave. I've never got to ask, but at some point I do want to ask someone, tell me what is it about We Two Are One that you didn't want even anything on the Ultimate Collection? And I guess if we all remember from a few weeks ago, maybe their answer is Jimmy Iovine.
Oh,
Yeah, that's right.
That's definitely
It was
the
Jimmy
answer.
Iovine.
Or it never sold enough. So if you want those songs, then you got to get We Two Are One.
Well, maybe that's true. Maybe there's a process to it.
It's not the Ultimate.
Oh my God, I love Don't Ask Me Why.
I do too. Oh God,
What
yes.
a beautiful song.
Anyway, who
well,
else?
Who else?
any other thoughts on the Ultimate Collection?
I wish I was in the video, and I love the freaking song. I agree. I agree with Mike that the intro is too long, but once it gets going, oh my God.
Yeah.
Give me the dance floor. I will frickin' get down.
On what song?
Oh,
I've got to look.
Oh God. Oh God, yeah.
I do
Yeah.
think was it Steve Angelo who did a remix to Sweet Dreams as a B-side for I've Got a Life? I have to say I like that mix.
That's a good version. That's a really good version.
Yeah, you can really rock out to that.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Well, friends, from English summer through just another sad love affair, whatever it's called, we've covered the entire
Wow.
Eurythmics discography.
Wow.
We did
thank
it.
you, Jeremy, for doing
Almost a year, Jeremy.
I know.
9 months.
It's been wonderful, but I am so thankful that this is not over because now we have Annie Lennox's solo career to jump into.
All right.
and thank you guys for letting me come in late.
It's so nice to have
It's
you.
been great having you.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely.
All right, so off the top of your head, let's end just with something fun. I know this probably changes week by week, but right now, what are your top 3 favorite Eurythmic songs? Right now, subject to change.
Oh my god.
Let's end with something fun. Oh shit, I don't know if I can do it. Maybe we might
It's
have
too hard.
If we had to pick,
Thorn on my side. How long? Love is a stranger.
What were they again?
Thorn in my side. How long? We two are one. And love is a stranger.
All right. Who
Here
else dares to go?
Here Comes the Rain Again. I Love You Like a Ball and Chain. Don't Ask Me Why.
Ooh.
Okay, people, come on.
Oh, damn.
I'm gonna say
I'm gonna get influenced by other people's votes.
I'm going with the first cut,
Ooh, that's a good one.
Ooh.
The House,
Oh,
Nice.
and Beethoven.
oh,
Oh, cool.
Oh,
Love it. Love it.
oh, God.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Here Comes the Rain Again. Love is a Stranger.
Yeah.
Don't ask me why. Mark, I'm exactly with you.
No, I did Ball and Chain. I didn't do Love is a Stranger. But
Oh,
yeah.
Ball and Chain, damn it, that's the one. So if you remember, one of the first things I've ever said is I wrote a whole thing, and when we play Ball and Chain at our house on Saturdays, it is so loud the house vibrates.
Oh,
So did we pick the same 3?
Yes, we did.
My concert wife? Well,
Yeah, yes,
Excellent. Very good.
excellent. Thank you. We're still good, Mark.
All right. Who else?
all right. Beethoven.
Nice.
No fear, no hate, no pain, no broken hearts.
Ooh.
That's one
Good.
of mine.
And then shit.
I don't remember that song. Oh shit.
You have placed a chill in my heart.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good one.
All right. David?
Right, I'm going.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going. Belinda.
Oh,
No,
Hey.
What?
No.
Wait, what?
no. Belinda
it?
in the garden.
Okay.
In the garden. Belinda. No fear, no hate, no pain, no broken heart.
oh,
And it's a tie between Miracle of Love and Peace. Is just another word.
oh.
Oh, nice.
It's
Great. That's
a
cool.
tie.
That's
What a
very
body
good.
of work they have. All right, who hasn't gone?
I want to hear Nick.
Nick.
It's a difficult one. There are quite a few that I enjoy. Right by Your Side, I would probably put it, I'm not sure if it would be in the top 3, but perhaps that's one that comes to mind.
Cool.
I'd probably do It's All Right, Baby's Coming Back.
Oh.
That's another one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. And for a third, I mean, I've been listening to King and Queen actually quite
Oh.
a bit.
It's good.
And
What a
Don't Ask Me
great
Why as
top-
well.
Oh,
And then I would probably put a couple things from the soundtrack in there in the top 10 too.
Okay.
Julia. How can I forget?
Another Big Brother.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. David, did you do yours?
Yeah, David.
Okay. So it's kind of overwhelming. Top 3, right? Because I really can't do it, but I have to
How do
say,
you do 3?
I know.
I love Savage,
Oh,
right? You guys were kind of against me on Savage. I'm sorry, but I have to do I want a man.
Oh,
I love to put my convertible down and just terrorize the neighborhood and play it. I also love freaking Shame the dance.
Oh,
I
yes.
fucking
Yeah.
love that. Oh my God. Okay, but because of my new love for peace, I have to put something in there, and I think it's gonna be peace.
Yes.
Oh.
Oh my God, it's beautiful.
I love this. That was
Well,
fun.
friends, it's time to put on our diva headgear. It's time to get ready to walk on some broken glass, be a legend in our living room, and be precious and keep young and beautiful.
All right. See you next month.
I will see you next month. I love you guys. I'm so thankful for the friendships
So
that have
fun, you
developed
guys.
here.
I'll be married next month.
Yes, you'll be
my
married.
God.
Woo!
But it won't be to me.
No.
What?
It won't be to me. Your
Not to
coworker does-
Mark,
Whatever.
but to Pat.
She's
I need
dumped
your
me.
outfit, Mark.
See y'all later.
All right, I'll see y'all next month. Love y'all.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Love you guys.